She was Hedy Lamarr, Hollywood's bombshell. But she laid the groundwork for Wi-Fi, GPS, and Bluetooth. No one believed it until a torn blueprint was found hidden behind a shattered mirror. She died alone in a mirrorless house, sketching telecom diagrams with a pencil not to enhance her beauty, but to connect the world. Hollywood caged her as a dangerous beauty. The world mocked her invention until it reshaped history. An unsent letter, a locked music box, and a false name on her birth certificate. What do they hide about America's most dazzling woman drugs? Men? Prejudice? Or did Hedy choose to vanish, punishing the fame that betrayed her? This is the story of a forgotten genius and how beauty can kill brilliance. Stay with me to uncover truths about Hedy Lamarr never told before. Chapter 1. A 17-year-old beauty, condemned as depraved. They called her the world's most beautiful woman, but Hedy Lamarr dreamed of being an inventor, clutching blueprints instead of rose bouquets. Picture Vienna in the 1910s, a city of grand waltzes and golden lights. There. Young Hedwig Eva Maria Kiesler, later Hedy, grew up in a cozy Jewish home, where her father, Emil, a bank director, sparked curiosity in her heart. On afternoons, he held her hand, pointing to trams, explaining how they glided on tracks. At 5, Hedy dismantled an old music box, its tiny gears gleaming under candlelight. She reassembled it, smiling as the melody played, as if she'd unlocked a world secret. But Vienna wasn't for her dreams. Hedy's Austrian Jewish beauty took breaths away. At 12, she won a beauty contest, eyes sparkling but heart heavy. Her mother, a pianist, locked technical books in a cabinet, whispering, "A girl only needs to be pretty." Hedy secretly scribbled formulas in her diary, hidden under her pillow, a silent rebellion. "I want to understand the world," she told a close friend, her voice full of longing. But society wanted her as a flower to admire, not a mind to honor. At 17, Hedy stepped onto the silver screen. She appeared in Money on the Street, lights illuminating her flawless face. Then ecstasy hit like a storm. The film, with its bold nude scenes, stunned audiences under the theater's dim glow. Those scenes were aflame, burning through the era's moral standards. Hedy thought she was creating art, but the world called her a bad girl. Her parents, in the audience, walked out without a word. Backstage, Hedy stood frozen, her heart breaking, shame burning in her chest. "I just wanted to do right," she whispered to a friend, tears falling. The storm didn't stop. The film was banned in America and Germany, condemned by the Pope, and labeled depraved by Hitler. A rumor spread that her father left a secret blueprint, forbidding her to touch it, as if he knew her dreams would lead to danger. Hedy clung to her old music box, its melodies a reminder of suppressed ambitions. A secret letter to her mother, found later, revealed her tears. "I want to be loved for my mind, not my face." Was that music box, with its forgotten gears, the first sign of a tragedy stalking Hedy? Chapter 2. A Marriage for Beauty, Caging Her Mind. Under Vienna's pitch-black sky in 1937, Hedy Lamarr pedaled through icy streets, breath ragged in the dark. A maid's cloak hid her face, diamonds of unknown origin sewn inside, glinting like a dangerous secret. An empty sleeping pill bottle rattled in her bag, evidence of a maid now unconscious in a castle. Hedy fled not just from a husband, but from a gilded cage that imprisoned her. Why did she run? What drove a radiant star into the shadows? Rewind 4 years to Vienna. 1933, Hedy, just 18, married Fritz Mandl, a wealthy arms manufacturer supplying Nazi Germany. Mandl was obsessed with her beauty, not her essence. He turned her into a trophy in his lavish castle, banning her from acting, monitoring every call. "I'm a doll, not a person," Hedy cried in her room, trembling hands touching the dusty old music box on her table. A copy of Ecstasy, the film that branded her bad, sat in Mandl's safe, marked with strange red ink, like an unreadable warning. But Hedy didn't yield. During Mandl's meetings with German engineers, she sat silently, ears catching details, eyes scanning blueprints. An engineer swore she memorized weapon schematics, numbers, and drawings, but no proof was found. A lost diary page, later rumored, contained formulas in faint ink, like a whisper of espionage. Some said she sent intelligence to the Allies, but no documents confirmed just a torn blueprint in her suitcase. Raising questions, what did she know? Her pain deepened when her father died suddenly of a heart attack in 1937. She wore black, shunning color, feeling she'd lost the one person who understood her mind. Mandel offered no comfort, only tightened control. A maid said he tried to destroy all ecstasy copies, but one escaped, like a curse haunting Hedy. She resolved to flee. That night, she drugged the maid, donned her cloak, sewed diamonds into it, and biked through darkness. A neighbor said she left a torn diary page scrawled with, "I can't live as a statue." On the ship leaving Europe, Hedy sat still, clutching the heavy cloak hiding her only possessions: a formula, a blueprint, or a curse. Chapter 3: Brilliance buried by her own beauty. She entered Hollywood with a perfect face but carried technical sketches no one cared to see. Hedy Lamarr, aboard the Normandy in 1937, her eyes gleaming like gems under chandeliers. In London, she'd stunned Louis B. Mayer, MGM's mogul. Hedy rejected a $125 weekly contract, smiling and gliding past Mayer's dining table in a dazzling gown. "I'm worth more," she said, voice sharp as steel. The result? A $500 weekly deal, and the name Hedy Lamarr, inspired by tragic star Barbara Lamarr, who died young from addiction. But in Hedy's suitcase, beneath silk, were technical sketches, lines drawn in the night, a secret no one sought. Hollywood welcomed Hedy with blazing lights. Rumors said her role in Algiers in 1938 made audiences forget to breathe, dubbing her Queen of Allure. A decade later, Samson and Delilah packed theaters, tickets selling like water. Whispers claimed Hedy alone sold millions in war bonds, but no medal bore her name. The press called her a dangerous beauty, but none asked about the sketches in her drawer. A producer said Hedy turned down countless roles, craving deeper characters. But Hollywood wanted her still and seductive. "My face is my misfortune," she told a friend, eyes dimming like fading stage lights. At night, in a silent room, Hedy slipped off her pearl necklace, brushed away lingering makeup. By flickering candlelight, she drew designs no one questioned. Once, she invented a fizzing tablet to turn water into Coca-Cola, a small but bold idea. They mocked it as a star's whim. A decade later, a company quietly patented the same product. No one asked, no royalties paid. Hedy kept an unsent letter to a friend, hidden in her old music box, writing that Hollywood was her second cage after Mandel's marriage. "They don't want my mind," she wrote, her script trembling like the candle in the wind. Rumors said Hedy rejected a romance with JFK, fearing being used as another trophy. Yet the press still called her a dangerous woman, as if her intellect threatened. An engineer swore she carried a Vienna blueprint in her suitcase, but it was never found. Did Hollywood deliberately cage her in beauty? Or did she hide her true self in the dim glow of lavish parties? Hedy stood, smile perfect, clutching a crumpled sketch, as if it were the only thing keeping her from falling into darkness. Chapter 4: A beauty whose inventions were mocked. While the world urged her to bare her skin for war bonds, Hedy Lamarr quietly designed an invention that could save millions. Under Hollywood's dim lights, she stood before crowds, smile flawless, gown stunning, but in her suitcase hid technical sketches, scrawled lines like whispers from a buried dream. World War II ravaged Europe, and Hedy, heart heavy for her mother trapped in Vienna, resolved to do something grand not with beauty but with brains. She turned to George Antheil, an eccentric composer whose synchronized music pulsed like a heartbeat in a small room by flickering candlelight. They crafted frequency hopping, a secret communication system inspired by 88 piano keys. Hedy's idea was simple but revolutionary if radio signals jumped between frequencies. Nazis couldn't jam them. She smiled, hands trembling as she set down her pen, believing this would show the world her mind, not her face. In 1942, the patent was granted. Hedy stood before the U.S. Navy's office, clutching her file, heart pounding. But the door opened, and an officer sneered, An actress thinks she's Einstein. Hedy stood frozen, her blueprint falling, ink lines like bleeding wounds. They called her an enemy alien for her Austrian roots, seized the patent, and told her to sell kisses instead of science. Hedy returned to Hollywood, heartbroken. Rumors said she sold millions in war bonds, captivating audiences. But no medal bore her name. An engineer said she tore a blueprint and threw it into a fireplace, its ashes like her dreams. In 1992, a journalist found a second patent sketch Hedy's handwriting, but undated, as if someone hid it. Whispers claimed the Navy didn't want an actress credited, but no proof surfaced, only a lost diary page, rumored to hold her formulas, was a cry no one heard. That night, in a quiet room, Hedy set her mirror on the floor, smashing it with her heel. Shards reflected two women, Hedy Lamarr and the one Hollywood made. She felt betrayed, not just by the Navy, but by a world caging her in beauty. A friend said she stood silently before the broken mirror, tears falling, as if watching her dreams vanish. Rumors whispered she carried secrets from Fritz Mandel's meetings, but none dared confirm. Hedy knew her intellect, her greatest treasure, was buried under stage lights. They forgot her, but her invention lives in every phone. Perhaps they didn't forget. They just chose not to mention. Chapter 5. Total collapse. Trapped by her own shadow. They called her Queen of Beauty, but backstage, a doctor injected Hedy Lamarr with drugs that made her strike her own son, then weep in panic. In the 1950s, Hollywood still shone, but Hedy's heart was scarred. 6 marriages crumbled from Fritz Mandel, who caged her like a statue, to John Loder, then Sam with a shocking plastic doll scandal, and Howard Lee, who made her a mistress at Texas wine-soaked parties. Each time she thought she'd found love, she found a new cage. The real darkness came from Dr. Feelgood's vitamins. Hedy, believing they were tonics, let him inject 40 milligrams of methamphetamine. The drug made her tremble, unstable. One night, she struck her son for dropping a fork, her eyes wild with panic at her own hands. "I'm not that person," she whispered, tears streaming. A 1966 shoplifting arrest drew mockery, a desperate star, though she carried $14,000. Again, in 1991, she was caught stealing laxatives and eye drops. A store clerk said she stood frozen, staring at goods as if searching for something lost. After her final plastic surgery, she stood before a mirror for 3 hours. The face once called the world's most beautiful was distorted. Alien. A friend said she taped over mirrors, unwilling to see Hollywood's creation. "I let beauty ruin my life," she said, voice choked, clutching an old blueprint, its edges crumpled like her torn dreams. Rumors said she shoplifted to cry for help, to show the world she was more than a screen face. But no one listened. A torn diary page, found later, held one line, "I once wanted to change the world." Hedy felt violated by Hollywood casting her as a sex symbol, by men exploiting her, by drugs she didn't know controlled her. A relative said she burned a film poster, as if erasing the world's imposed image. But in darkness, she still drew sketches no one asked for, proving she existed. Was self-destruction her last way to reclaim being human, not a statue? Chapter 6. Despair and Loneliness. Final shadows. After 3 decades of stares, Hedy Lamarr lived hidden in a mirrorless room. Only blueprints and unanswered calls remained. In 1958, she left Hollywood, retreating to Florida's shadows, where stage lights couldn't reach. Her small house was cold, windows draped in heavy curtains, as if blocking the world. She spoke to her children by phone, voice trembling, fearing they'd see her surgery-ravaged face. A neighbor said she kept an old music box, now silent, on a table like a memory of forgotten dreams. She held it like herself, the neighbor said, voice heavy with pity. Each night, Hedy lit a dim yellow lamp, hands trembling as she sketched designs as if proving to the empty room she existed. A friend said she sat for hours, staring at blueprints, ink fading like her last breaths. A shocking secret emerged after her death. Her adopted son James was her biological child with John Loder, hidden by a birth certificate to protect her career. Once, She hugged James, whispering, "I'm sorry," never explaining. A diary page in her suitcase read, "I couldn't tell the truth. It would destroy everything." Did she hide James to shield him? Or the Hedy Lamarr Hollywood made? Hedy died in 2000 from heart disease. In her silent house, curtains drawn, her son Tony scattered her ashes in Vienna, per her final wish. A yellowed note in her suitcase read, "I don't want to be remembered for beauty, but for brains." Rumors said she lived reclusively to punish the world for dismissing her. A journalist said in her final days, she gazed out a window, murmuring, "They use my invention, but no one knows my name." A secret letter, found in her music box, read, "I gave them the world, but they only wanted my face. Heart disease, drugs, or a heart broken by being forgotten did it burst in silence. Epilogue, a living legacy genius in the shadows we use Wi-Fi, GPS, Bluetooth built on a woman's invention the world once ignored." Hedy Lamarr was more than Hollywood's most beautiful face. In 1997, she received the Pioneer Award from the Electronic Frontier Foundation, and in 2014, her name was etched in the National Inventors Hall of Fame. An asteroid bears her name, 32,730 Lamarr. Her frequency hopping, once mocked by the Navy, powers billions of devices, from smartphones to military satellites. Yet irony cuts like a knife. A Forbes article revealed her patent was cited 62 times by tech companies, but she earned nothing. Her invention now fuels security cameras, tracking chips controlling women, as the world once controlled her. Hedy was trapped in beauty's cage, judged for being a woman, violated by drugs and toxic marriages. "Brains are far more beautiful than looks," she said bitterly. A friend said she kept a final sketch, ink faint, like a reminder of an unfulfilled dream. Rumors claimed she hid to punish Hollywood, to make the world see they discarded a genius. A journalist said in her last days, she held her silent music box, murmuring, "They took everything from me." Her death's mysteries linger: heart disease, addiction, or a broken heart from being forgotten. A secret letter in her suitcase read, "I don't want them to remember my face, but my mind." Hedy is a symbol of resilience, but a warning of prejudice's cost. She teaches that beauty can be a curse, but intellect is an eternal legacy. A neighbor said in her final nights, she left a blueprint on her table, a final proclamation. Her name is Hedy Lamarr. Don't wait for Google to remind you. Etch it in your memory, a true forgotten genius.